Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being with us today. We're going to check in with Dan Perkins. He's back with us, Islamic historian, terrorism analyst. You've read his stuff over at thehill.com. Also the author of the Brotherhood of the Red Nile trilogy. Dan, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm fine. You got your Christmas shopping done?
No, I have not. I have a serious problem. I don't know when I'm going to find time, but I know what I got to get, though, so that's good. What about you? Are you all set?
Yes, sir. All I have to do is wrap it.
Okay, that's good. That's the. Of course, I'm a terrible Christmas gift wrapper. I'm not. I don't pay attention to detail. Everybody knows the gifts that I wrap because they just look terrible.
Yeah, but I think the school we are, we're not very good.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, so Dan, I have this story here about impeachment, but it's an interesting take. Washington Times, Lindsey Graham is saying that impeachment makes Trump stronger for Middle East diplomacy because apparently, again, the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman is saying that foreign leaders, he just recently traveled overseas, foreign leaders are impressed by President Trump's defiance of impeachment. Have you heard about this?
Yes, it's not a news story. The particular story you're talking about is new, but the whole idea of the president actually benefiting from the impeachment has been a storyline for ever since they began talking about the possibility of impeachment. And the issue is, the reason why it is important is look at what happened if you go back not that long ago, back to 2016 in the spring, when the British people were voting on Brexit, and they passed it. They passed to leave the European Union because they felt they were losing their country to the bureaucrats in Brussels, who they didn't even know, who were changing their laws and changing their culture and their history. And so they voted against it. But the elites tried for 3 years to overturn it. And we had an election here recently in Britain, and we got a huge majority of basically conservative people to bring in the government on a freestanding basis because they're basically angry at the delay in getting things done. And I think the same thing's true, and that led to also what happened in the United States with Ronald Reagan, and when he was trying way back in the 80s, and now we're doing it again with Donald Trump. Now we're dealing with, okay, they had a big vote, and the conservatives won, and they're saying, is that going to be a precursor, much like it was in 2016, for the U.S.? And when you look at Nancy Pelosi, when she said, okay, these things have to be in place in order for us to impeach the president. There has to be a majority, has to be both sides have to support it, meaning Democrats and Republicans. The people have to support it, and neither of those two events are there. The American people do not want it. Schiff got shouted down at a town hall meeting last night over the weekend. So what's happening is that the traditional belief is that if you don't have support for bipartisan support, and the American people want this, you've got a situation where, in this case, the Democrats have put themselves highly at risk to political backlash from the American voters, which is, I think, exactly what's going to happen. And so the foreign leaders are now really saying, Paul, Donald Trump's going to be reelected.
Really? Okay, yeah. So that's a roundabout way. So the foreign leaders. Well, I mean, you look at the stock market. You look at what the economy's doing as well. I mean, it's clear. When I was, I watched some clips from Saturday Night Live that aired this past weekend. And I know, why would you watch those? But I mean, I'm just trying to keep. I'm like, okay, what are these leftists doing? And even they are saying, look, this impeachment is going to ensure the reelection of President Trump. And you can kind of hear a pin drop because the audience is so, they don't want to hear it. But they're now coming around to it as well. And let me ask you this. We're talking with Dan Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard, I saw this on Twitter this morning. I hadn't heard anybody say this yet. But the reason that Chuck Schumer is trying to get Mitch McConnell to agree to a, quote, fair trial which really just means don't use the power that you have as the Republican majority leader in the Senate, that the Democrats may vote tomorrow to impeach the president, but not vote to send the articles to the Senate unless they get the trial they want. Meaning they don't want Hunter Biden, they don't want Adam Schiff to actually have to testify. So then this whole thing would be, I mean, the whole thing's been moot from the beginning, but it would just be really just theater this whole time. If that's what they do, this has all just been a show.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I've got a commentary that's under review right now that speaks to what you're talking about. The Democrats think they're using not Bill Clinton as their example. They're using Richard Nixon as their example. And their thinking is that if they pass the articles of impeachment, that Donald Trump, the senators will come up to the White House and Donald Trump will resign as president and everything will be fine. And that's a false narrative, but they're not living in the real world anyway. So the idea that they now understand, there's the story that I wrote last night that's being circulated, is that the Democratic playbook, which I've written about many times, is falling apart. The playbook is what the Republicans have to do when they come to Washington, and what happens if the Republicans are challenged by Democrats, and they have to kowtow, and they have to bow down to, and they have to agree to it. And so what's happening is we're seeing two things that are happening where the Democrats are still trying to play like they are in charge. One, you had the Florida congresswoman who said over the weekend that President Trump, his impeachment trial, that Mitch McConnell should recuse himself because he's supporting the president.
Oh my God!
That's number one. And number two, Chuck Schumer is telling Mitch McConnell what witnesses he should call. So the Democrats are trying to grab control of the impeachment trial away from the Republicans, because if they're not successful, then all the things you just talked about, there's the possibility that Schiff and the Bidens and Hillary and who else knows are going to be called to testify before the Senate committee, and the Democrats don't want that. But they're living in an unrealistic world, or not a real world, because they think they can have their cake and eat it too. And what's going on is you're seeing the last desperate throes of a party that's about to implode.
So we haven't talked since the Inspector General report came out last week. What were your thoughts on that, and what are your thoughts on U.S. Attorney John Durham?
I wasn't surprised. I was telling people when I was doing interviews, don't expect a lot from Horowitz, because remember, he was an Obama appointee. He's part of the deep state. He did say some things that I was surprised that he said, talked about the 17 mistakes that the Justice Department and FBI made. Comey's now admitting over the weekend that maybe he made some mistakes, or there were some flaws in the process. But so his report was interesting. It gave us some support to some things that we suspected, but we actually saw them. He didn't exonerate anybody in the administration, and I think when the fact that both Durham and Barr reacted to the positioning of Horowitz on his report about nobody was culpable, nobody broke any laws, I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen when Durham comes out, he'll come out with, and there were some people who were saying, and I think I agree with them, Durham may not come out with a report. Durham may come out with indictments.
Yeah.
And that will be his report. The people he indicts. But I'm hopeful that they're going to see some people in orange jumpsuits.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are. I think at this point that's going to happen one way or the other. The question is, what level of officials are going to go down for everything that's transpired. Dan Perkins, really appreciate it, sir. It's always great to talk to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me, and have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas to you.